All right, a couple of things this morning. First of all, can y'all help me welcome in the hub? The hub is next door. Come on, give it up for the hub. They're, as you see, making room for us in here because we don't have a whole lot of that. And so just to give you a quick update, though, we are working towards making a move. If you don't know if you're new here or you're a guest or maybe you've just been sleeping during announcements, maybe you've been getting your generator ready. I don't know what you've been doing this past week, but I thought about going and filling up some gas cans. Praise Jesus. I hate it for Florida. I got people and friends in Florida, but it ain't us. So pray for Florida. I hadn't even watched it. I don't know what's going to happen. But it's been a busy week, so maybe you missed this. But we're actually moving to the rink, which is about a mile north of here. So it's right next to our land that we're going to be building on very soon. And so we're going to be over there for several years. And so we've been working on that and updating that. We're 4 weeks into the process, and we've gotten a lot done. And so our goal is to be in there by December. And so looks like that's going to happen. So we're excited about that. So it's going to give us a lot more room, three times the space, 10 times the bathrooms. And so I know I say that every week, but man, I just get excited. I have dreams about the bathrooms over there. I'll be honest with you. Isn't that weird? Like, because I see lines of people. Like, if I have to go to the bathroom, like, I'm in trouble. You hear me? Because I got to be on stage. And so, anyway, some of y'all are taking prayer walks in the woods, whatever. You do what you got to do, okay? And but bathrooms is going to be awesome. Kids area is going to be almost 3 times, about 2.5 to 2.7 times bigger than it is right now. The worship center is going to be a lot bigger. We're going to have a common area. We're going to have a cafe. Everybody, like a for real cafe. And so we're excited about that. But here's the thing. Here's what I want you to know. I'll be honest with you. My favorite room over there right now is the growth track room. Not because of the way it looks, not because of the shape of it, not because it's so nice, it's going to be a nice room. It's because it's where you're going to find your purpose and jump on a team and help us get more people to encounter Jesus. That's what we're all about here at WRC. And so today, Step 4 is happening during second service. And so we have people graduating growth track, jumping on teams, finding their purpose. And we just love to connect your passion with your purpose. And so when those two come together, it's incredible. And so we want you to jump in growth track. It starts over next month. So first Sunday, the first 4 Sundays of the month is going to be growth track. Jump in on it. You just heard all about it, Step 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so I hope you'll do that because it's very important for you to get plugged in. To find a team that you can serve on. And so some of y'all come maybe from a church where you just did everything. You're taking a breather. That's okay. But we're unapologetically going to push you to your next step, okay? If that's water baptism, if it's salvation, if it's getting into a life group, whatever your next step is, we're going to push you and we're going to get on your nerves, okay? You're going to love us so much. You ever that parent that just pushed you to do good things and you didn't like them at the time, but later you appreciate them? That's us, okay? We're going to be like next steps, next steps, next steps. And so, in fact, our life groups, every life group has ESPN, which is encouragement, scripture, prayer, and next steps. And so, not ESP, we can't read your mind. Some of y'all, we don't want to read your mind because we would quit leading group, okay? Because who knows what you guys are thinking when you go to life group. But group's amazing. We have Freedom Group going on right now. Come on, give it up for Freedom Group happening. So some of y'all need some freedom. I ain't about 12 of y'all clapped right there, so y'all need some freedom. We do that in the spring and the fall, and so jump in the Freedom Group this coming up spring. It's going to be incredible. We have 3 groups going on right now. But anyway, we have a group for you, young adult group, a women's group, a men's group, a young mom's group, and so our mothers of young children. So we have a group for you. Jump on our app, jump on our website, find that because you need to be in a group because that's where freedom happens. It's where connection happens to other people who are just like you. You think you're on an island because the devil wants you to think you're on an island. The devil does not want you to know that other people are struggling like you are. It's the biggest lie that he uses all the time, that you're the only one thinks that way. You're the only one that's upset. You're the only one that's so wore out. In fact, some of y'all are so tired right now, your phone doesn't know who you are. You go to unlock your phone, it's just like, who are you? That's how tired you are right now. Your eyes are so tired, your phone is just like, hold up, who is this trying to unlock your phone right now? You're Android people, we have face that we can actually look at our phone and it unlocks, okay? Some of y'all have pagers, I know. I mean Androids, but sorry, I love Android people. I love my green text. Thank you, Jesus, for the green text. But some of y'all are in a season right now where you're just tired. I know that's kind of where I'm at right now. We're pushing through. We're going to get to the next season in life. And so, but the devil wants us to focus on the here and now. The devil wants you to focus on, hey, can I make it through next week? Man, some of y'all are worried about tomorrow already. You got a full package this week. You got a full day. Your kids are running crazy. Maybe they're having school issues. I don't know what your problem is right now, but the devil wants you to focus on now. And I'm just going to tell you, we're not here for now. We're here for eternity. This old world's not our home. We're just a passing through. And so this is just temporary. And so God wanted this to be heaven. He wanted this to be Eden. In fact, when God created the earth, he created it perfect, and it was a paradise, and it's really what we've been trying to get back to since the beginning, and since they ate the apple off the tree. But we've been trying to get back to Eden, and so it's coming. I'm going to share that with you this morning. But I just want you to know we've been trying to get back there from the beginning. And so if you've missed this series, this is week 4. We talked about the signs of the times there's earthquakes and famines and wars and rumors of wars, and that's the signs of the times. And I believe we're not just in end times, I think we're at the end of the end times. And then you have the rapture is going to take place where the church is going to be raptured or caught up. And then we're going to have 7 years of tribulation. We talked about that last Sunday. And now this week we're going to talk about the millennial reign of Christ. And so that's what this week's about. But here's what I want you to know. That's going to get us to a place where we've been trying to get to. The world's been trying to get to Eden. The world's been trying to get to a perfect place because that's the way God created it to be. In fact, let's go all the way back to Genesis. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 said, "Then God said, let us make human beings in our own image to be like us." And he says us because it's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. "They will reign over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and the livestock and all the wild animals on the earth." Let me just tell you, Academy would go out of business if we were here what we were supposed to be, because you wouldn't even need a fishing lure, would you? You wouldn't even need a bullet. You'd just be like, "Hey, deer, fall over dead and get over here so I can eat you." That's what you would be doing. You wouldn't even have to go hunt for deer. You just speak to them. They'd come in. You just slit their throat, and then that was kind of gross. But you wouldn't have to, you've seen those commercials where the guy's out fishing. He says, "Fish, get in the boat." Some of y'all are too young for that. But fish, get in the boat. And so fish are jumping in the boat. He has dominion over the fish. That's a commercial. And he's like, "Fish, you're too small. Get out of the boat." And that fish would jump out of the boat. That's incredible. I've tried it before. It doesn't work because we don't have dominion like we used to. But we were created to have dominion over everything. Look at that. The birds of the sky, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and even the small animals that scurry along the ground. So we were created to have dominion or control over all these things. We were created in an Eden. He created Adam and Eve in Eden, which was perfect. And they had complete control. Look at this verse. Look at the next verse, verse 27. "So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them." We're not going to hang out here, but it's very clear that he talks about males. And read the whole Bible. It's male and female. He talks to women, he talks to men, 2 genders. So he talks about males and females. We won't hang out there, but this is the way God created. The world wants to corrupt that. The world wants to corrupt what God created, so we're not going to camp out here. Let's go to the next verse before I get in trouble. Verse 28. Look what happens. "Then he blessed them and said, 'Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and govern it.'" Watch over it, subdue it. In fact, the word there for govern means to be in control of or to take into bondage. In other words, you have complete control over the whole earth. "Reign over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and the animals that scurry along the ground." So he's very clear here. I want you to take control of the world. I want you to be in control of everything going on. Can you imagine if a lion got into the Garden of Eden? What would you do? You know what they do? "Hey, lion, get out of the Garden of Eden." If the elephants got too close, "Hey, elephant, get out of here." You would shoo an elephant just like you would a fly. I mean, that's the control that they had. Think about that. They had complete control over every animal. Were dinosaurs back then? Probably. I guess they were because they exist, and so God must have created them. So even T-Rex, he'd be like, "Hey, T-Rex, I ain't got time right now. Why don't you go find a deer somewhere to eat? I ain't got time for this. Get out of my garden. You're messing up the tomatoes I just planted." That's the kind of control that they had. They had complete control over every animal, over every bird, over every fish. That's the kind of control that they had. Listen, this was Eden. We ain't there anymore. We ain't there no more. I know you English teachers, that's eating you up right now, but we ain't there no more. Because sin entered into the world, because the devil seduced Eve, and then Eve gave the fruit to her husband, and they ate it. And since that time, we have been working and sweating, and there's labor pains and all the things that go on. And so since that moment, since sin entered the earth has been moaning for Jesus to come back, because he had to restore what Adam and Eve lost in the garden, but only a perfect person could do that. So he had to send Jesus, and so we know that Jesus came. And so he died on the cross for our sins. He was perfect. We just have to receive him as Savior. And so he died on the cross. He rose again 3 days later. Praise Jesus. Because any God can die on the cross. But my God rose from the dead 3 days later. That's what my God did. He rose from the dead. He said, "I'm coming again. The kingdom is near." Scott Bailey preached on that, about the kingdom. The kingdom is near. The kingdom is coming. And so he says there's going to be end times. We already talked about all that, the end times and the rapture and the 7 years of tribulation. But now we're going to get to the millennial reign. How do we get back to Eden? And so if you're taking notes, this is 5 steps to get to Eden. This is 5 steps to get to Eden right here I'm about to give you. So if you want to get back to the Garden of Eden, it's going to take 5 things. And to be honest with you, you have no control of it. It's going to happen. And so I'm excited about what's going to happen. Here's the first thing that's going to happen when the millennial reign. After the 7 years of tribulation, we go into a 1,000-year reign. That's what millennial means, 1,000. So a 1,000-year reign of Christ. Here's the first thing that happens if we're going to get back to the Garden of Eden, or to the time of Eden. That is this: Satan will be bound for 1,000 years. Whew, that's going to be fun right there. Satan's going to be bound for 1,000 years. If you want to learn about end times, go back and read Matthew chapter 24 or Luke 19. You can read some of those things about end times and some prophecies and things like that. But here's in the Revelation chapter 20 is where we get the millennial reign. This is the most places that it's talked about. Now, it's mentioned in Ezekiel and some other places. But in the New Testament, this is the main passage in Revelation chapter 20. So we're going to look at verses 1 through 9 this morning. But we're going to see what the millennial reign really looks like. So here's what John the Revelator saw. This was his revelation that God gave him. And so as he was getting it, he was writing it down. He said, I saw an angel coming down from heaven with the key to the bottomless pit. Let me stop right there. Do you know why he has the key? Because Jesus took it on his 3-day journey. When he died, he went and took the key to death, hell, and the grave. So Jesus took that key and now gave it to this angel. Listen, keys represent authority. If you have a key to your house because you have authority to get into it. I have a key to the skating rink now because I have authority to get into it. Some of y'all be hiding keys in some crazy places. You're giving people authority to get into your house that they ain't supposed to have. But you have a key to your car. That gives you the authority to start your car and drive it. So keys represent authority. So Jesus took the keys of death, hell, and the grave from the devil. And I said that last week. On his best day, he lost the key to his own house. So Jesus takes that key and gives it to this angel. And watch what happens. It's the key to the bottomless pit. And a heavy chain was in his hand. So watch this. An angel. Hello. You know how many that is? Uno. Singuloso. How do you say one in French? One. Okay, one, uno. One, an angel. Y'all watch this now. You think the devil's big and bad? An angel. All right. An angel took the key. He has a heavy chain in his hand. You like to see that, don't you? You see an angel show up with a chain in his hand, you better run, son. With a heavy chain. So he's got a heavy chain. Watch what he did. He seized the dragon. That means he grabbed him. That old serpent, who is the devil, Satan, and bound him in chains for 1,000 years. An angel with his big heavy chain grabbed the devil, seized him up. Can you imagine just snatching him up? Have y'all ever seen the Avengers where the Hulk takes a hold of the bad guy, Thor's brother or whatever? He just bangs him all over. That's what I see this happen. I see him showing up like the Hulk. Can you imagine this angel looking like the Hulk? But he's white instead of green and just showing up with a big old chain, and he just snatches him up by the foot. Can you imagine Satan's running? I can just see it, y'all. He's running, dude. Got the red streak behind him because he's rolling out, and the angel just snatches him up, seized him up, wraps him up in a chain. Whew, I want to see that. I hope we get to see this. It's going to happen. I hope we get to see it in the spiritual realm. I don't really want to be too close because I might get, something might happen. But I love to just see what happens. And then watch what happens. Look at the next verse, verse 3. This is all in Revelation 20. The angel threw him into the bottomless pit because he had the key to it, and then he shut it and locked it so Satan could not deceive the nations anymore until 1,000 years were finished. So here's an angel. He shows up with a big heavy chain. He seizes the devil, unlocks the pit, throws him in it, and then locks it up, and he's locked up for 1,000 years. And so he's in the bottomless pit, and there he's shut and locked the door from the outside, by the way. Some of y'all got some bad kids, and you had to flip the locks to the outside of the door in their bedroom. That's good parenting, by the way. They wouldn't stay in the room to go to sleep, just lock them in. That's what you do. That's how we roll. That's what we do. Just lock them up, all right? Please don't call DTS on us or DPS or GPS or whoever. What is it? GPS? CPS? CPS. Don't call. But you lock them up. You got the keys, right? You got the key. You have the authority to lock your kids up. My parents would lock us out of the house. Let me rephrase that. My sister would lock us out of the house. My mom says I give her a bad rap from the stage because my parents were old school tough. You know what I mean? Like pick your own switch tough. But my sister she would clean the whole house. She would lock us out. We didn't have a key. We had no authority to the house. We couldn't get back in. I ain't lying either. My mom and dad be gone for hours. They roll up. We'll just be sitting outside by the door just pouting. What's wrong with y'all? Did anyone let us in the house? It was clean. We couldn't get back in there. Like when she cleaned the house, dude, you couldn't get back in the house. You will jack it up. So this really happened one day. One day she cleaned the kitchen. Once the kitchen was clean, there was no snack time. You couldn't get a bowl of cereal if we even had cereal. Whatever we had, you couldn't get in the kitchen and get it because she had already cleaned the house. All right, so here's what I did. I want to get me some hot chocolate because my mom makes a mean homemade hot chocolate mix. But you take water and you heat it up and then you scoop it in there. So you got to heat the water up first. And my sister went to the bathroom, so I hauled it to the kitchen real quick. And I got me a cup, threw it in the microwave, closed it, turned it on, and went back to the living room. Nothing happened. My sister's scary. So I'm just chilling, and then it starts getting close to being time. So I get in there. By the time I get back to the kitchen, she already made it back to the kitchen. Y'all, she took my cup, she dumped it out, and put it back in the microwave. She mean, y'all. But here's what I realized. I was so scared that she was going to catch me, I forgot to put water in the cup. When she locked you out of a room or out the house, you was locked out. And you didn't want to come in, all right? So when you got kids, you have the authority. So this angel has the authority. He unlocks the pit, throws the devil in it, and then locks him up for 1,000 years. But then this is going to happen. Afterward, he must be released for a little while. So here's the first thing that's going to happen. If we're going to get to the Garden of Eden, if we're going to get back to Eden, here's the first thing that happens. The devil will be bound for 1,000 years. Here's the next thing that happens. The 5 steps to Eden. Here's number 2. Watch this. Jesus will reign over the earth. Well, Jesus is in charge now. No, the Bible says the devil is in charge he's a prince of the power of the air, right? So he's the God of this world. So the devil is the God of this world, and so that's why the world is like it is. You can't watch TV for 10 minutes without a commercial popping up that's very offensive to the church in many different ways. It's just gross what's on TV. It's gross what's in the movies and everywhere else. It's just gross. Why? Because the devil is the God of this world. But when he's gone and Jesus shows up now, Jesus is going to reign. And even if you want to rebel, you can't. Think about that. Because if you last through, because here's what's going to happen, 7 years of tribulation, there will be some Christians who make it through because if you know Jesus, you got taken up in the rapture, all right? So that leaves the people who don't know Jesus here. And if you don't take the mark, we'll read this in just a second. But if you don't take the mark of the beast, you're going to still be here, and you're going to get to reign with Jesus for 1,000 years. But we're also going to get to reign with him. Here's what he sees. Watch this. This is verse 4. So we're just going chronologically right through Revelation chapter 20. We'll throw in a couple other verses. Then I saw the thrones, and the people sitting on them had been given the authority to judge. All right? We'll come back to that in just a second. And then I saw souls of those who had been beheaded for their testimony about Jesus for proclaiming the word. And we'll keep reading that in a second. So he sees people who got beheaded, which is, by the way they, in Islam, this is the way they kill people. What beheading is the key way to kill people. So they're probably going to reign after all this happens. They're going to be in charge during 7 years of tribulation. So he says they've been given authority. Those who actually survived that, and those who got beheaded. This is about the ones who got beheaded. Then he says this. He says the word of God. Then they had not worshipped the beast or his statue, nor accepted his mark on their foreheads or on their hands. So these are people who got saved during the tribulation, but didn't get the mark of the beast. Obviously, if you have the mark, then you can't be saved. They all came to life again, and they reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. Because Christ is going to reign on earth. Can you imagine when Christ is in charge? When Jesus is in charge, the peace and the joy that comes from him reigning. But it's going to be with people who got beheaded. They come back to life, got beheaded, and for the people who actually survived it. So they're all going to reign together with him. But here's number 3 I want you to get this morning. Jesus is going to reign, but here's number 3. We're going to get to reign with him. That's why I said there was a group that had been given authority, all right? There's a group that had been given authority to reign over. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to be in glorified bodies. So if you know Jesus and you get raptured, or even if you die before the rapture happens, when we come back to reign for 1,000 years, we'll be in glorified bodies. We'll be in perfect bodies. No back pain, no foot issues, no cavities, no bad hair. Well, maybe bad hair. I don't know about the bad hair or not, but maybe you're balding and you want your hair back. You might get that back. I'm not really sure what it's going to look like. Some of y'all are going to look completely different, if you know what I mean. We won't even go down that road, but some of y'all are going to be completely different. And so we're going to have glorified bodies. We're going to be in glorified bodies. And so he saw a group of people who were reigning over, and so we're going to get to reign in our glorified bodies with Jesus. And so that's what's going to happen. We're going to get to reign with him. Look at verse verse 5 here. He says, this was the first resurrection. The rest of the dead did not come back to life until 1,000 years had ended. So there's going to be a group that gets resurrected, those who got beheaded for their testimony. And then there's some versions say the unrighteous. So these are ones that weren't as committed. They won't come back to life for 1,000 years. Look at the next verse. Verse 6. Blessed and holy are those who share in the first resurrection. For them, the second death holds no power. So there's two deaths. There's the first death is when you die a physical body, but the second death is death in hell forever and ever and ever. We'll talk more about that next week. It says, for them, the second death holds no power, but they will be priests of God and of Christ, and they will reign with him for 1,000 years. Listen, we get to reign with Jesus for 1,000 years. And so us in our glorified bodies, who do we get to reign over? Well, we get to reign over people who don't have glorified bodies, the people who actually have physical bodies, because if you come through tribulation and you make it through and you get saved in tribulation and you make it through, you're still going to have your old body. You're not going to have a new body yet. So the glorified body people get to reign over the people who have the old bodies. So we get to reign with him for 1,000 years. We get to have a little say in what happens. And let me just say this. What you do here now will dictate what you get to do during the 1,000-year reign. He rewards those. Go back and read the book of Luke. He rewards those who do something with what he gives them. Remember the guy with the talents? One guy buried his and one guy went and did something with it. Well, the guy that went and did something with it, he got more stuff. In fact, he even says you'll get to reign over, some of y'all get to reign over 5 cities or 10 cities or even more. Well, what's he talking about? He's talking about the kingdom. He's talking about us. Whatever we get to do here on earth, he's going to bless us. We're going to get blessed for the reward, with rewards for what we do here with Jesus. We already talked about that. Some of y'all going to have mansions and some of y'all going to have outhouses. All right, that's just the way it's going to be when we get to heaven. But what did you do with Jesus? Listen, receiving him is great, but did you go tell somebody else about him? Did you go love on somebody? Did you bring somebody a meal? Did you serve somebody? Did you come up and give away a backpack? Did you give to kingdom causes? Did you help lead a life group and bring people to Jesus? Listen, it ain't just me up here on stage. Listen, I'm not special because I'm standing here. I'm special here because I'm not special here because God. Let me back up. I'm not special because I'm standing up here. I'm standing up here because God called me up here. But I need your help. God needs your help. I can't do this. Can you imagine? I already talked about this. Can you imagine me trying to greet y'all in the breezeway, change your baby's diaper, high-five your little kids, and get back in here and preach? It ain't going to happen. I'll have spit up on me. I might have some other stuff all over me. You don't want me changing your baby's diaper. You just don't. I can't even keep up with diaper technology. Did y'all know there's a line that changes color on diapers now? I just found that out like 3 months ago. I didn't know that. That's the grandparent. I'm in a new realm, but I can't do it all. Here's a big thing. You want to hear this? I don't want to do it all. You need to step up. Some of us say you got so many amazing gifts, and you're not stepping up because I just don't know if I can or not. We've had people that say I can't lead kids' church, I can't lead pre-K because I don't know enough about the Bible. Bull butter. You know how you find out more about the Bible? Take a step. What you do now will dictate what you do in the 1,000-year reign. In fact, other passages talk about us getting to lead other people. Look at this passage in 2 Timothy 2:12. He says, if you endure the hardship, we will reign with him. Talking about the 1,000-year reign. So if we don't deny him, if we deny him, he'll deny us. Look at 1 Corinthians 6:1-2. This will give y'all, some of y'all need this verse for other reasons, but I'll read it to you. When one of you has a dispute with another believer, how dare you file a lawsuit and ask the secular court to decide the matter instead of taking it to other believers? Don't let the court decide. You got Jesus in you. They got Jesus in them. Figure it out. And then he says this. Look at what he says here. Don't you realize that someday we believers will judge the world? We're going to get to lead people. It's going to be incredible. And since you are going to judge the world, can't you decide even on the little things among yourselves? In other words, you're going to have bigger responsibilities. Take care of the small stuff here is what he's saying. This is very, 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 very important. Look what happens. Let's keep reading what happens in Revelation 20. So Jesus is going to reign. We're going to reign with him. When the 1,000 years has come to an end, Satan will be let out of prison. So he's going to be let out for a little while. Here's why. Watch what happens. He would go out and he would deceive the nations called Gog and Magog in every corner of the earth, and he will gather them together and for battle, a mighty army. So he's going to come out of the pit after 1,000 years, and he's going to get together a big old mighty heavy army, as numberless as the sand and the seashore. That sounds pretty serious. He ain't done yet. He's going to be strategizing for 1,000 years on what he's going to do when he gets back here. He's going to get let out for a little small period of time after that 1,000 years. And when he comes back, he's going to get an army together, and he's going to wage war against God and his people. Sounds pretty serious, don't it? Well, if an angel snatched him up like the Hulk, I ain't really worried about the devil. Are you? I ain't going to do it. I'm not going to be worried about he's got a strategy and he's got a plan and he's pretty slick. And I'm not saying dismiss him completely. All I'm saying is the authority that he has in your life, you gave him. We give the devil a lot of credit for stuff that we just jumped off the cliff on. It wasn't the devil that made you send that email. That wasn't the devil that made you hold that grudge for the last 20 years to a close family member that you haven't talked to in decades. The devil's slick, but listen, an angel is going to snatch him up like the Hulk and throw him in a pit for 1,000, and bind him up and throw him in a pit for 1,000 years and lock the gate, lock the door, lock the lock. It's going to be like one of them big heavy-duty padlocks. You can't cut that with a chain, with a bolt cutter. He's going to lock him up for 1,000 years. He's going to get out. He's going to wage war on God's people. That sounds pretty serious, but it ain't over yet. Watch what happens. And then I saw them. They went up to the broad plain of the earth and surrounded God's people in the beloved city, talking about Jerusalem. It's all going to happen in Jerusalem. So the devil gets cut loose. He shows up with a big old army. He's got God's people surrounded. It looks really, really bad. Does that sound familiar to you? The enemy had them surrounded, but guess who had them surrounded? My God. Watch what happens. But fire from heaven came down on the attacking armies and consumed them. See, your life right now, just to tie this back to where you are now, it looks rough. It looks like you ain't going to get there. It looks like you're losing. But the enemy that's got you surrounded, he's got it surrounded. And when God lets a fire loose, watch out. Katie, bar the door. It's about to get real. Think about how frustrating it's got to be for the devil. He just planned 1,000 years. Can you imagine if a head football coach had 1,000 years to plan a game? That's going to be a serious game plan with a playbook about that thick. Imagine a general that has 1,000 years to plan something. He's got this 1,000-year plan. He's going to show up and do something about it. He surrounds the enemies of God. He surrounds the armies of God, and then God lets down a fire and burns them all up. That's my God. So, we're on our way back to Eden. Satan's going to be bound for 1,000 years. Jesus is going to reign on earth. We're going to reign with him. Here's number 4. Here's the 4 of the 5 steps. Here's number 4. Satan will be bound forever. So he does have a little bit of life in him, right? He comes back. He wages war. Then God drops down the fire from heaven, and he gets wiped out. But look at verse 10. Then the devil, who had deceived them, was thrown into a fire lake and burning sulfur, and joined the beast. The beast he's talking about there is the Antichrist and the false prophet. There they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. You know what forever means in this passage? Forever. All right. Yeah, anybody got any Sandlot fans in the house? Forever. That's how long he's going to be tormented, forever and ever and ever. Here's the cool part. The devil bound you up at some stuff, now he's getting bound. The devil tormented you, now he's getting tormented. This is at the end of a 1,000-year reign here on earth. Y'all, it's information this morning, I know. But I want you to know this is part of the end times. Part of the end times, I want you to know that when you start seeing some stuff happen after our rapture, and you say, hey, man, my pastor talked about this. I'm going to get the rule over some people. Boy, I sure hope Pete's there. I sure hope I get the rule over some people that did me wrong at work. No, we're not going to think that way. But you're going to have an idea of what's going to happen in the 1,000-year millennial reign of Jesus Christ. We get to reign with him. Here's the step number 5, and this is where it gets good. Watch this. Step number 5. There will be a new heaven and a new earth. He's going to recreate heaven, and it will be heaven on earth. It'll be heaven on earth. Look at this. This is the very next chapter of Revelation chapter 21, the very next chapter, verse 1. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and the old heaven and the old earth had disappeared, and the sea was also gone. So he says, I see a new heaven and a new earth. We're going back to Eden. It's a 5-step process. There's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. Look at Ezekiel. Ezekiel talks about this. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 35. He says, I bring you back, the people will say, this former wasteland is now like the Garden of Eden. What's he talking about? He's talking about after the millennial, after the 1,000-year reign. He's talking about what it's going to look like when the new heaven and the new earth show up. It's going to be heaven on earth. It ain't going to happen till then. If you get frustrated with everything going on in the world, don't take it too far, because perfection isn't coming until the 1,000-year reign. Now, pray for your kids and pray for the school and pray for our government. Pray for all these things. Keep praying for them. Don't stop. But we're heading back to the Garden of Eden. He says, and the abandoned and ruined cities now have strong walls filled with people. It's coming. There's a new heaven and a new earth. Now, that sounds familiar, but it's a prayer that Jesus told us to pray. In fact, he said, when you pray, pray like this. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is the ultimate answer to the prayer that God told us to pray, that Jesus told us to pray. This is truly going to be heaven on earth. His will is going to be done on heaven as it is on earth. It's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. Listen, no more pain, no more tears, no more heartache, no more rejection. It's going to be amazing. I hope you're there with me. I hope you make it to the millennial reign. I hope you know Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Because everything I just shared with you is not going to matter if you're in a lake of fire burning forever and ever and ever, because you heard about the love and the grace and the peace of Jesus and you said no. Well, I never said no. Well, you didn't say yes. His grace is sufficient. I want you to be there. I want you to be reigning with us. But you got to know him first. It ain't just going to happen because you're a good person. There's a lot of people putting obituaries out there. He's got his angel's wings. He's hanging out with Jesus right now. Well, did he have fruit in his life? Did she have fruit in her life? Hey, it's tough to go to a funeral when you don't know where they ended up. It's tough. It's really tough to preach one. But, man, it's amazing when you know where they are. Do you know where you're going to be? Where are you going to be in 100 years? You going to be in glory with us, waiting for the millennial reign if it hadn't happened already? Or are you going to be in a lake of fire? You have that choice today. Here's the answer. It's very easy. It's free. You just have to receive him. Pride is going to drag a lot of people to hell. Don't let that happen to you. Surrender your life. That's what salvation is about, surrender. It's about surrender your life to him today. Don't wait another day. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not even guaranteed tonight. Don't wait another day. Surrender your life to him today and join us in the millennial reign. I can't wait. It's going to be incredible, and I hope you're there with us.